Hi, welcome. This is a reading for the upcoming Virgo Full Moon. And I've already said my higher good prayer that this be in the highest good of all, and that it be in lightheartedness, laughter, and levity, as well as learning. So the card that snuck out right now is the Ten of Vessels. And I'm just going to go ahead and read out of the Wildwood Tarot what it says. Tarot, excuse me. Ten of Vessels, happiness. A waterfall forms over rocks from a low cliff decked with trees. The cascade creates dozens of separate water flows, which fall into a river below. Near the bottom of the waterfall, 10 vessels are arranged, and the water fills them to overflowing. So what this means is that there's a generous fulfillment of desires from a source that is pure and cleansing. Reward for patience and love given selflessly. True emotional stability and freedom. So with a deep and profound calm of true and lasting happiness flowing through your life, a sense of homecoming, safety, and beauty shines from an individual that lights others' lives and is infectious to everyone. Healing rays of affection and warmth radiate from your inner core. For those in love, the joy is in the sharing of tender and intimate support and understanding. Giving love and seeing that love reflected in the eyes of the one you care for is the most powerful and healing magic known to mankind. For those who thrive on happiness derived from the fulfillment of ambitions and life goals, happiness is fueled by a sense of affirmation and self-worth and ideals. Being effective and productive in the practical world brings a sense of stability which can be shared and used as a vehicle to motivate and inspire others. No other greater act of humanity can be achieved than by showing the way and opening a person's heart to the possibility of happiness. However much we love, however much we've achieved, we empower ourselves to be emotionally alive by accepting the circuit of life requires giving as well as receiving. As we revel in the bliss of the journey, we remember with gratitude the patience, wisdom, and synchronicity that brought the blessings into our lives. Wow, so this is a really great card to pull first off. It's like a good omen, and I'm feeling very humbled by pulling it. I feel like 2019 was a really intense, challenging year, and I don't know if you've heard the jokes that January felt like a year in and of itself, and February flew by, but there's been a lot of, I would say, facing inner dragons, which isn't necessarily negative. I mean, it's needed for empowerment and evolution and growth, but it hasn't been light and fluffy at all. There's been little waves of it. So I'm not trying to go off about that. What I'm just trying to say is this is a really welcome, refreshing card. The waterfall feels so refreshing, and the overflow and the just kind of almost, I guess I'm feeling like there's a breakthrough here. So any kind of stagnant water we've been in, there's this free flow. And then of course, Mercury's been retrograde in Pisces and will be turning direct soon in Aquarius and then back through Pisces. But Pisces is that very watery. So even though Mercury wants to be linear and logical, it's kind of just thrown into the ocean. So I know I've been memory shuffling a lot, and it tends to happen more on the Mercury retrogrades. I also have some pretty intense transits that might be influencing that as well. But the point I'm getting at is that just this more ethereal, watery, slippery, just vast, the ocean, our thoughts can just be anywhere and nowhere at the same time. And that's going to continue. So Mercury will be direct, so a little less reflective and inward, more taking what we've gained and flowing forward. And it looks like this card is a good sign that whatever we've gained, we can also give. And in that giving, we are just going to continue to feel replenished. And that, like it said, like the circuit, learning to give and receive. But you can't give if you have an empty cup. So I just love that this is encouraging us to take whatever has filled us up and share it with the world. And that's going to be unique for everybody. And this could be on a big scale or just, like a small scale. But I just really get the sense of there's a breakthrough, there's a being able to flow with things. And the card title was happiness, but I sometimes feel like happiness is circumstantial, and like this feels more like, what was it saying, that the purity and the cleansing. I feel that's something that comes from doing the work of being in the heart, and that the heart is just it goes beyond happiness to ananda or bliss. So with that, let's see what the rest of the reading says. I guess we'll call that our main card. What blocks the crystal? Okay, well, I should have figured this out first. Bear with me here. Okay. Ten is also completion. It also feels like a completion of winter, like the frozen waters are going to start flowing again. It's going to be spring again. Water is emotional, so it's like whatever's been trapped or stuck, it's free to go. So even if there's been some purging of some darker things, it's still all good, in the sense that there's going to be movement, and then movement forward with Mercury direct. And my dog just decided to get up and make a bunch of noise. Sorry if you heard that. Okay, so I'm actually going to stick with this deck. And I think I'm actually going to do the tree of what is it? This book is cool. It has direct spreads. I've been freestyling, but let's go ahead and do the world tree. In honor of Virgo. That's my inspiration for this spread. And I actually should cut the deck first too. So the wisdom of the world tree provides hidden wisdom or solutions to the issue that you had not yet considered. Okay, so I've cut with my non-dominant hand here. What do we collectively need to know to move forward in the highest good for our own evolution and that of the planet, healing of the planet. Just what's the message we need to know by the light of this Virgo moon? Okay, here we go. These two came out together. So we've got the Great Bear is the roots. The Guardian is the branches. East is the Two of Arrows. West is the Four of Stones. South is going to be the Page of Stones. So remember when I did, if you tuned in on one of the last readings where we talked about the World Tree card, that was actually, we were talking about that labyrinth below. How there's nothing actually getting in the way of going right up to the tree, but how do we navigate the labyrinth? I'm looking at this, I can show it to you. This is the key for the spread, and so I'm looking at this image. Thanks for your patience. I'm like really just tuning in. I'm not just trying to pull cards to pull cards. I'm really being intentional here. Okay, North. How weird is that? It just flew out. There it is, the World Tree. Okay, and then the last two cards. 7 is the Way Through the Woods, and 8 is the Wisdom of the World Tree. This is like a little side tangent while I'm shuffling, but I think that's a very high indication of be aware of what you're thinking, and that creation energy is really strong right now, and that we can manifest a little quicker than we realize. I just think that's weird that I was talking about the World Tree and that card was like, hello, here I am. Okay, the Way Through the Woods, Knight of Stones. I'm gonna have to make this look a little to get it all in there, but we'll go over them one by one. Okay, and then the last card I'll pull, and then we'll go through this. Wanderer. It's a really beautiful card. There's like this little rainbow and just walking through the mist. It's like a peaceful, free feeling. So I guess that's the equivalent to the Fool card. Okay, let's break this down. The first card is the root. So what's the root of the issue? And for that is the Great Bear. And he looks like he's very powerful in guarding something very sacred. The traditional religious and political concepts of right and wrong, guilt and innocence have no place here. For the judgment that takes place during the time of rebirth is both inward and mystical, and yet outward and universal, far-reaching beyond the narrow confines of human civilization and conventions. So the issue is that it's like he's guarding this sacred portal. I really get a good feeling from this card. Like that bear could mess you up. But this is like, the issue is like we're stepping into our power, and there's a guardian at the gate, and there's the other side. And then along that guardian theme, the next card for the branches is the guardian. So the place on that spread is going to be what are the possibilities? Forgive me for being a little more scattered than normal. So this is the skeleton of the bear in the last card. And he's also guarding a cave. Okay, so the guardian spirit of the beast challenges those who would enter the cave of ancestral memory without understanding the nature of their own darkness. With the cave's open maw filled with jagged and sharp stalactites is an unknown and untrodden path. Its destination is shrouded in gloom. No inner light burns to show a way through. Before the path may be followed, the guardian must be faced and mastery of one's own fears achieved. Okay, well that's helpful as far as, okay, the way forward includes facing our fears or just facing our own darkness. Essentially, that's like a confrontation, right? So not letting the fear make the decisions or run, but to actually come face to face with, you know, fears can be really old or ancient or beyond this life. So how can you have a conversation with the guardian to continue on? And really that's for your own protection. But I'm getting the sense that there's like this, you know, the cliche, it's always darkest before the dawn, but there's this like sense of going through a portal and then, you know, to this really beautiful flowing, abundant, refreshing waterfall of, divine light up ahead, for whatever that's worth. So maybe just reflect on what within you or within your life do you need to face? And I love the idea of gatekeepers, right? So how can you be respectful to the gatekeeper and either ask permission to go forward or what's necessary to go forward, and have a dialogue with whatever it is, dark, light, it doesn't matter, to the next location, right? Which the third card in the spread is the East. So this is, what do you take with you? And what came up for that is the Two of Arrows. And it says injustice, so I'm not saying take injustice with you. However, I love that this deck has the feather and the coins at the top. So what this is saying for me to take with you is, don't take the hurt and the ways we get blindsided. Don't take that with you. Take the lightheartedness. Take the lesson. Let the rest go. I don't know that I want to suggest that you forgive, but whatever you can do to lighten your heart is going to be what you want to take with you going forward. Not the bitterness, not necessarily it looks like those arrows were stabbing her in the heart, but she's really just holding the arrows in front of her heart. That feather is what's calling to me, though. How do you take the lightness of heart? Because that's where that's gonna spring forth. Let me just see what else there is to say on this. In many worldly situations, the truth becomes hijacked and twisted to become a false message, designed to confuse and instill fear in those seeking clear insight. The wise seeker asks questions and tests false messages and discerns the validity of a harmful accusation. For the victim of injustice, the best defense of the truth is always more truth. Okay, so you know what the truth is in your heart. It's like, right, I've said that before, it's between you and your heart at the end of the day. Take that with you. Don't worry about the rest of it. Okay, and then the fourth card is West. What do you leave behind you? Oh, I kind of wish those were the opposite. Because this is protection, so it's saying leave. I don't know that I would advise you to not proceed with protection. However, maybe a false sense of safety or comfort is what you can leave behind. I haven't worked with this deck a whole lot. I'm really inspired with the animal kingdom right now, so, and then with Virgo being like earth and healing. However, that Four Stones card likes to pop out. I've seen it a lot for how little I've used this deck. Well, can't we leave the injustice behind and take the protection with us? Doesn't that make more sense? I'm kidding. It's not how this works, right? I guess for me, this is saying that there's like this little innocent deer that's protected by these stones, and the image and the sun's either setting or rising. I think it's setting because there's stars, but I guess it's like you need a certain amount of protection when you're young and developing. So perhaps this is saying that we've reached a stage of maturity, that we can move out of this cave. Maybe once the lessons are processed and we find what that lighthearted feather, like the silver lining in the lesson is, maybe that's what this is getting at. And that maybe this is also saying that like we can leave behind the fears of being vulnerable, right? Because like you need protection if you're vulnerable. So maybe this is saying that it's okay to be vulnerable and even necessary. So maybe leave behind the need to hide in the safety of those pillars. And then the next card is the South. What do you hope for? Okay, so that's this one. The Page of Stones. The Lynx. And that direction is south. So it's kitty. I love kitties. I cannot get the lighting right tonight. What do you hope for? That cat seems like it knows where it's going and what it wants. So the book says, pay attention to the physical realm and be aware of the effects generated by everything you do. A strain of wildness and lack of forethought can sometimes hamper your forward passage, but careful consideration readdresses the balance. So kind of just keep things down to earth, which is really fitting for Virgo full moon. Being practical, staying focused on the task at hand, which will get easier once Mercury goes direct. I know I've been kind of swimming in like dream soup. But as far as what you hope for, it's like some we don't want this to just exist in the dream world, which is Pisces, the opposite of Virgo, right? That's what the new moon was in, was Pisces. But then moving forward, how can we take baby steps that are very practical? Even if this means we need to apprentice under someone or be a little bit more disciplined with our studies. And then, of course, as far as like, what do you hope for? I guess it would be, how can we make the best decisions possible? Right? So like, what do we need to be dedicated to? Or what lessons do we need to just solidify so that we can leave the injustices behind and move forward a little lighter than before? Okay, and then the next card is, what do you fear? And that's when I pulled the World card. The World Tree, right? Which comes after this Great Bear card. So the fear is getting out of that dang labyrinth. I'm kidding. So maybe there's a sense of fear of the old way is really coming to an end. And so maybe there's just a fear of that. Sometimes we can get kind of trapped in our little, I wouldn't even call them comforts in the sense of like self-soothing, just comforts in the sense of it's familiar. So just fearing like loss of old creature comforts. And then there's also the sense of transition, right? Transition from one season to the next is always a little tough on the body. It's good to do cleanses and to help the body adapt, but it just depends on where you live and if it's a gradual, abrupt, chaotic change. Maybe this is even a fear of succeeding, as strange as that sounds. I mean, the universe is so abundant, and this card is indicative of that, right? Like, we got to get out of the mental mind labyrinth to reach the body of the tree, which is where the the access to this grounding energy of this beautiful creation of Mother Earth in all her infinite wisdom and intelligence of how the seasons just unfold, and nature has this own intelligence of its own. So I don't know that fear feels like a little too strong of a word, but maybe there's just this hesitancy to go ahead and enter that tree and leave behind this stupid, it's not stupid, but you know, this tricky maze we've been letting ourselves get distracted, deceived, you know, in our false identity, or chasing things that we think we want or society tells us, and it's not really the heart of the matter, and we're maybe afraid to leave that behind and just get into ourselves, be who we really are, and just own it and be grounded within that. You know, easier said than done. And again, there's another door, right? This tree has a door on it. So like we've got a portal here, and then again, entering another gate. We have like the gatekeeper to a portal here. I think this Page of Stones, this cat is like, just go through the door. That's what the cat wants, because the cat knows the secrets. And see, he's in the tree, so he's like, I've already been in the tree. You want to be in the tree. There we go. That's what the message was there. I was trying too hard earlier. Okay, so moving forward, the next, forgive me because I'm referencing the book, so I'm not just, I'm somewhat intuiting stuff, but I'm also checking the book because I'm checking the spread and I'm really impressed with the definitions in here, the wisdom in here, so just trying to get it all well-rounded. So okay. The next card, that was north. The world tree was north. So then the 7th card is the way through the woods, which I actually I switched the position of these. Well, I'm just going to trust that I did that on purpose and go ahead and read it as it is, because the way through the woods is to be the wonder. I like that. So how do we engage with the issue at hand? And this is strangely echoing the last full moon reading as far as the world tree and like kind of being a completion of the old. And then here we have 0, the Fool. But it's still, again, it's got that feathery theme. Like this girl is like, she's really carefree. It's like there's this light step. See, her foot is it's like up in the air, and she's got this light step and open hands, open heart, not afraid, just willing to go forward with openness. So the way through the woods is to just wander through them. So get out of the labyrinth and like get into the door of the tree, get past the gatekeepers, and then just go explore. That sounds really nice. Maybe you'll find the rainbow. I get such a good feeling from that card. Sometimes the Fool card is a little strange the way they depict it, but I really like this one. Okay, now I'm gonna look at the book, and I'm not gonna I haven't been reading you all of it. I'm just pulling out what seems significant. So Okay, so the burdens of the past are set aside, either for the wanderer to pick up and take along, or leave behind if the weight is too great. You're ready to take a leap of faith into the unknown, and all that's required is faith. Okay, so that's the true way through the woods, is faith. I would say even more than exploring. Okay, and we're just going to keep going because I didn't realize how long this reading has been going on. Okay, so then the last card is the wisdom of the world tree. And so the hidden wisdom of the issue is going to be the Knight of Stones. So stones is earth. We're back. There's like a lovely earth theme going on here. Between the trees and the stones and the bear and the guardian, which is bones. So the horse, it kind of looks like a donkey to me, but okay, healthy activity and self-sufficiency color your path. Okay, so that's the wisdom. Physical strength supports your decisions, and pleasure is important. Daring, pride, and a love of the earth lead you to attempt ever more amazing feats. Let the horse carry you. Oh, that's really nice. So the horse is going to be a good ally in moving forward. So there's this sense of being carried. And horses are very in tune and smart and emotional. So I kind of feel like letting this energy carry you forward is what's going to bring us to the Ten of Vessels with everything else in the previous reading. I mean, in a sense, the root of the issue and the branches could interchange since I pulled those at the same time, and then I pulled these separately, but for some reason placed them in that order, so I'm just going with that. But those two could also be interchanged. As far as the way through the forest is let the horse take you, and then you're free to start anew, and like all the water. I also feel like the horse is saying to remember to persevere. There's a certain activeness, but that also like a kindness So yeah, there's like this steady, practical movement forward. Well, even though this reading was like a little choppier than normal, I really get a good vibe from it. I'm really happy with it. Just feeling it, I guess, as far as this good omen of the Ten of Vessels being the first card drawn. And there's just this sense that we're about to go through a doorway and that we have to confront our fears and talk to the guardians at the gate. Be willing to be vulnerable and leave our little safe cave. Be willing to let go of the way people have hurt us. And just realize they're doing the best they can. And it's not personal at the end of the day. And where do we want to go forward? And that lynx is so smart in that tree. He knows what he's sure-footed. So we want to find our footing and our way back to earth energy. Very Virgo. And how do we get out of the mental mind traps of injustice or the labyrinth and actually get to the heart of the tree? Be free. Allow the universe to carry us and find that inner flow of abundance within the heart. Because that's what this is all about, right? So with that, I'll just pull an oracle card. And then, wow, this has been like the longest reading yet. I'm going to pull an oracle card and an animal card because if you gotta go, I understand. Although if you're this far and you might as well finish it, that's okay. I only have like a few followers anyway, so. Having said that, if you do get anything out of this, feel free to like it or leave a comment. I would love that. Sometimes I think I'm just putting this out into the void, but at the same time, I don't like doing the whole self-promotion thing, you know? I think it's kind of hokey. Like, obviously, if you like something, you're gonna like it. I feel like it's kind of trite to tell someone to do that. So anyways, I'm just doing this for, I want to, A, I enjoy it, and B, it's like a little way to give back. So I don't know if it will ever turn into anything beyond this, but I have a lot of Neptune in my chart, and I was at an astrology conference years ago, and someone looked at my chart and was like, you should really do the more Neptunian, like you would probably be a really great card reader. And then I've also had another astrologer tell me that, and I'm just kind of running with it for now. I don't know. So I'm really into shuffling tonight. Just pick a card and get on with it, right? 2 cards came out. The more energy and intention I bring to my faith, the more fearless and free I am. Okay, so there is the confirmation to have faith was the way through the forest. Oh, faith. And the universe has my back, so have faith that the universe has your back. Again, easier said than done. And then what little animal card wants to give us some wisdom tonight? Oh, the wolf. That's really special. I was also just tuning into wolf energy. So that's, again, confirmation that what we're tuning into is what's going to show up. And wow, I felt humbled to have pulled the Ten of Vessels, and I feel really humbled to end on this note. I'm glad I didn't end before this. So let me just read the back. Creation, healing, purification. Although portrayed as a marauding villain in many European cultures, wolves are deities in Native American cosmologies and are a popular totem. Like the raven, which also appears in this painting, the wolf is a hero and creator. In some legends, she is the trickster sibling of the coyote. Two tribes of the Pacific Northwest ascribe healing power to the wolf and perform a wolf dance in the skin of the animal to cure the sick. In the early Roman cult of Lupa or Verona, the great she-wolf, also known as the mother of wolves, was the divine midwife and matriarch of the ancestral spirits. She was honored in an animal festival of the she-wolf and was involved in purification rituals. In the Roman legend, the Romanilis and Remus, a wolf nurses the two heroes and restores their strength. I'm just at a loss for words. Like, I don't even want to just say something to say something. I feel like the image speaks to just the power. This is this is like soul alignment. And being true to oneself. And not being effed with either. God, that's a beautiful card. I don't think I've pulled this card yet at all. Well, when I sat down to do this reading tonight, I just really felt called to see what message wanted to come through, and I'm honored and humbled that this is the message that came through, and I hope that maybe you got something out of this. I definitely have, and I might post something more about wolf energy. I personally have been really, like, I want to do some artwork. I've been really feeling wolf energy lately. I'd say for the past couple months. So this is really just kind of rocking my world right now. I also just listened to a presentation on Daemon souls, which I believe that I'm one of those. And the Jeffrey Wolf Green, who teaches evolutionary astrology, that I'm really fond of, they were talking about how he was like a wolf. Or had wolf energy within him. That probably doesn't make sense out of context. Anyways, that was just last night that I was watching that. So again, not to be redundant, but just be mindful. I feel like we've shifted into energies that how do I say this? It's just it's not, there isn't so much denseness that it's going to take a while to manifest, and or there's more of like an instantaneous flow. It's so tap into that river and tap into your inner strength. Keep faith in your back pocket. Let the universe carry you. And just be respectful to all beings. And just ask for permission, help, guidance, any messages that you might need personally. And I'll say it again and again, the answers are inside us if we're willing to look for them. Thanks for tuning in. Full moon blessings.